is democracy? Democracy? That's a weird question. Let's analyze it. So, one of the pillars of modern day democracy is the ability to cast a vote in secrecy. That creates a dilemma. And actually, the person who most accurately describes that dilemma is Josef Stalin. You see, Josef Stalin had a famous quote where he said that him who votes have no power, him who counts the votes have all the power. Something you might say George Bush inevitably proved when he was running for the American presidency against Mr. Al Gore. Al Gore actually had the majority of the votes. There was absolutely no doubts about that fact. However, the High Court of the United States of America, whom for the most practical concerns were actually appointed by Mr. George W. Bush's father, decided that George Bush should win, and hence George Bush did win, even though he had the minority of the votes in total. And then of course they used trickery and newspeak IDs and stuff like that in order to explain their decisions. Now, all modern democracy has the same dilemma, which basically is accurately described through the question, who counts the votes? So, effectively, democracy is not democracy as long as there is a small group of people whom are counting the votes. And in order to fix that, we actually need to ditch the idea of being capable of voting in secrecy. Because as long as we have secret elections, where you have the right to cast your vote in secrecy, there can be no true democracy. If we had open elections though, then if you wanted to, then you could print out the lists of who voted for what in your hometown. And then you could actually go around and knock doors and ask people, "Hey, Mr. John Doe, I see you voted for the Democrats. Is that true? Did you? Ah, okay. Green marker." And that means you count the votes. Hence, you have the power. In addition, it solves another dilemma with democracy. As long as we have secret votes, or the ability to vote without anybody knowing what we did vote for, then there's no accountability. If I wanted to, for instance, I could easily vote for a party whose only agenda was to murder all the babies in Norway. And when people asked me what I did vote, I could just say, "Oh, I voted Arbeiderpartiet." And I could lie. And I could hide my true colors. And then when this insane party who wants to murder all the babies has more than 50% of the votes, then all babies would be gone. Well, apparently still nobody, according to official documents, actually... Hei, hei. Hei. Hei sann.
Du ble helt forskrekket.
Ja, han ble det. Hei sann. Det var vel en hette. Hei. Kom. Kom. Bare la han gå så. La han bestemme seg. Hei. Hei! Han logrer nå i hvert fall.
Ja, ja.
Ja, ja. Nei, jeg får bare gi opp. Hei, der er du og lytter på.
Nysgjerrig, vet du.
Ja da. Er det en hu?
Ja, det er tispe.
Hei. Hei, så søt. Jo, kom. Jeg gir opp. Ha det. So there would be no accountability. But if there were open democratic elections, then nobody could hide their true colors. In today's electoral system, for instance, we could easily have a Nazi party whom a huge fraction of Norwegian citizens are voting for, even though they do not dare to say out loud in public that they actually are. Simply because they can answer when they're being confronted with the question of which political party did you vote. Oh, we have secret elections, I don't need to tell you that. Or they can lie. Which means that a Nazi party in Norway could easily get the majority of the votes without the individuals voting for them being held accountable for their actions through their votes whatsoever. However, by completely ditching the idea of believing in that it is a human right to vote without being accountable for whom you vote for, we actually fix both of those problems. First of all, everyone would be accountable for their votes and their meanings and their opinions, which would create a much more smooth and nice society. Second of all, the one who would be counting the votes would literally be you. And that means, to quote Josef Stalin, that you would have the power.